Hey. So, buckle up. This is a story about my ex. Let's call her Stacy. That's not her real name because I don't want her to get in any more trouble. But this story is about how her wedding day ended up being the most unexpected day of my life. I'm not usually a petty guy, I swear. But sometimes life gives you an opportunity for a little poetic justice, and you just have to take it. For context, Stacy and I were together for almost 5 years. We met in college, built a whole life together, or so I thought. She was my best friend, my person. We talked about marriage, kids, everything. I was saving up for an engagement ring. Then, about 1.5 years ago, things started to feel weird. At first, it was subtle, like she was slowly fading out of our relationship while still being physically present. I felt like I was going crazy trying to figure out what I had done wrong. I had no idea that the problem wasn't me. It was her, and a serious case of what I can only describe as entitlement. This is the story of how I found out about it, and what happened at her wedding. It started with the little things. You know how you just get a feeling? Stacy began to get distant. Our nightly talks about our days turned into her scrolling through her phone, giving me one-word answers. Fine. Okay. Whatever. The inside jokes that used to make her snort laugh just got a weak smile. I'd ask if she was okay, if something was wrong at work, and she'd just say she was tired. But it was a different kind of tired. It was a tiredness of me. Then came the new friend group. She started going out for girls' nights. Way more often, which, hey, I'm not a controlling guy. I encouraged her to have her own life. But she'd come home and be super vague about it. Oh, just hung out with some people from the gym. But her energy was different, secretive, almost giddy. She started dressing up more for these outings, which again, fine, you do you. But when you've been with someone for years, you notice the shift. It wasn't for her, it was for someone else. The pit in my stomach started growing, but I kept convincing myself I was being paranoid. The real turning point was a phone call I overheard. She was in the other room, and I was grabbing a drink from the kitchen. Her voice was the sickly sweet tone I hadn't heard her use with me in months. She was laughing, saying, I know, right? Ugh, it's just so stagnant here. I feel like I've already done all this. There was a pause. No, he doesn't suspect a thing. It's just easier this way until I figure my stuff out. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I just stood there, frozen, the refrigerator door humming. Stagnant? Doesn't suspect a thing? It was all the confirmation I needed that my paranoia was actually just my intuition screaming at me. She wasn't just drifting, she was planning an exit strategy while still living under our shared roof. The disrespect was breathtaking. I couldn't just sit on it. The next day, I asked her straight up. Stacy, are you unhappy? Are we okay? She got this deer-in-headlights look for a second, then her face just hardened. It was like a switch flipped. She didn't even try to deny it. She said, Look, we've just grown apart. People change. I've changed. I want different things now. I pushed, mentioning the phone call. She didn't even flinch. She just shrugged and said, It's not my fault you overheard a private conversation. But yes, I need more. I deserve a certain kind of life, a certain kind of energy. And frankly, you're not providing that anymore. She said it so coldly, like she was firing me from a job I didn't know I had. She deserved more. Those words echoed in my head. After 5 years, I was just not enough. The worst part? She seemed almost relieved to finally say it out loud. A week later, I found out the real reason. A mutual friend, who felt guilty, finally clued me in. Stacy hadn't just grown apart. She'd been seeing someone else for months. His name was Mark. And get this, he came from old family money. His parents owned a huge estate, he drove a car that cost more than our annual rent, and he was, in her eyes, her ticket to the certain kind of life she felt she deserved. I confronted her one last time, this time with a name. Her reaction was the most shocking part. She didn't apologize. She didn't even look ashamed. She got defensive and said, "So what? You can't blame me for wanting stability. Mark can offer me things you never could. It's not personal, it's practical." She called our 5-year relationship a learning experience. For her, I was literally a lesson. I felt my heart break and my blood boil at the same time. The woman I loved was a complete stranger. The breakup was brutal. She moved out within days, probably into one of Mark's guest houses. I was a wreck. The anger was there, sure, but mostly it was just this deep, profound sadness. I'd given my all to someone who saw our life as a placeholder. I went through all the stages: denial, anger, the whole thing. I deleted her number, threw out anything that reminded me of her, and tried to move on. Then, 6 months later, the wedding invitation arrived. I kid you not. It was this thick, fancy, engraved card. "Stacy and Mark request the pleasure of your company." I almost threw up. My first thought was, she's marrying him already? My second thought was the sheer audacity of inviting me. It felt like a power move, a final twist of the knife to show me the stability she'd chosen. A friend told me she was inviting everyone from her past to show off her perfect new life. I was meant to be a prop in her performance. I was about to rip it up when a crazy, terrible, brilliant idea started to form. For a solid week, I debated just ignoring it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that not going would let her win. In her story, I'd be the bitter ex who was too hurt to show up. If I went, I could control the narrative. But I wouldn't just go. Oh no. If she wanted a show, I'd give her one. But it wouldn't be the show she expected. My revenge wouldn't be loud or destructive. I wouldn't cause a scene or yell. I wanted something subtler, something that would unravel her perfect day from the inside out. I wanted to be a ghost at the feast, a living, breathing reminder that her perfect life was built on something shallow. I RSVP'd, yes, with a smile on my face. The game was on. I became a man on a mission. I hit the gym, not just for me, but for the suit I was going to wear. I bought a new, incredibly sharp suit that fit perfectly. I got a fresh haircut. I looked, and more importantly, I felt better than I had in years. Confidence was going to be my main weapon. I also did my homework. I asked around discreetly and found out who was going to be there. Old friends from our college days who were always Team Us, and more importantly, Mark's family. I learned about them. I found out they were old school, valued humility and authenticity, and were actually kind of wary of Stacy, thinking she was a bit too eager for their son's money. That was the key. I wasn't going to attack. I was going to charm. I was going to be the most gracious, kind, and tragically wrong guest they had ever seen. The day of the wedding arrived. It was at this ridiculously opulent country club. I walked in, head high, and handed my invitation to the usher. I could feel eyes on me immediately. Whispers followed me. "Is that him? Oh my gosh, he came. He looks amazing." I just gave a warm, polite smile to anyone who made eye contact. I took a seat near the back for the ceremony. When the music started and Stacy walked down the aisle, she looked exactly like you'd expect. A perfect, expensive doll. But when she saw me during her walk, her step faltered for just a second. Her smile tightened. She wasn't expecting me to look happy. She wasn't expecting me to look good. The first crack in her performance had already appeared. I just gave her a small, gracious nod. The show had begun. The ceremony was long, full of overly lavish vows about destiny and finally finding your true equal. I kept a neutral, slightly wistful smile plastered on my face. When they were pronounced husband and wife, everyone cheered. I clapped politely, like I was at a business conference. After the ceremony, during the cocktail hour, I made my first real move. I spotted Mark's parents, looking a bit overwhelmed by all the glitz. I walked over, introduced myself calmly. "Hello, I'm Alex, a friend of Stacy's from college. You must be so proud. It's a beautiful day. His mother looked surprised but pleased. Oh, yes, thank you for coming. We made small talk about the venue, and I carefully, subtly, worked in how I remembered Stacy used to say she hated big, stuffy events and loved simple picnics. I said it with a fond, nostalgic chuckle, like I was sharing a sweet memory. His mother's smile became a little strained. Did she? How interesting. The seed was planted. At the reception, I was seated at a table with a bunch of our old college friends. They were awkward at first, but I was nothing but warm and friendly, asking about their lives, their kids. I was the picture of a guy who was totally at peace. Then came the toasts. The best man gave a generic speech. Then Stacy's father got up. He talked about how his little girl had finally found a man who could provide her with the world. I saw Mark's parents exchange a look. It was all about money. When it was open for anyone to say a few words, I stood up. The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Stacy looked like she was about to have an aneurysm. I walked up, took the mic, and smiled. Hi everyone, I said, my voice calm and clear. For those who don't know me, I'm Alex. Stacy and I shared a big part of our lives together. A nervous ripple went through the crowd. I kept my smile gentle. I just wanted to say a few words. Stacy, you look beautiful today. Truly. And Mark, congratulations, man. I raised my glass to him. I genuinely wish you both all the happiness in the world. I paused, letting the tension ease. People started to relax, thinking I was just being magnanimous. Then I delivered the line that changed everything. I learned so much from our time together, Stacy. You taught me that sometimes, people need different things to be happy. You always said you wanted a life that was secure. A life without uncertainty. I'm just so glad you found exactly what you were looking for. I said it with such sincere, heartfelt warmth. But everyone in that room heard the subtext, you traded me for a bank account. I raised my glass higher. To the happy couple! May you have everything you've ever wanted. The applause was hesitant, confused. I had just publicly praised her while silently eviscerating her character. I handed the mic back and walked calmly to my seat. The damage was done. Later, I was near the dessert table when Stacy found me. Her smile was a tight, furious mask. She pulled me aside, her voice a low, sharp hiss. What was that? What are you trying to pull? I looked at her, all innocence. What do you mean? I gave a toast. I wish you well. Don't play dumb with me. She spat out. That whole secure thing? You were making me look like a gold digger in front of Mark's entire family. I let my friendly mask drop just a little, my voice becoming quiet and cold. Weren't you, Stacy? You told me to my face you were leaving me for a certain kind of life. You called our relationship stagnant while you were cheating. You invited me here to rub my face in it. So I came. And I was gracious. I was kind. I said nothing that wasn't true. If the truth makes you look bad, that's not my fault. She was speechless, her face pale with rage. She had nothing. Every word was true. I had held up a mirror, and she hated what she saw. I didn't stick around much longer. I'd said my piece. But as I was leaving, I saw the ripple effects. Mark's mother was talking to him, her expression serious. He looked confused, then glanced over at Stacy, who was still fuming by the dessert table. Our old friends were huddled together, no doubt rehashing everything. I found out later that my little toast opened the floodgates. Mark's family, already suspicious, started asking more questions. Our mutual friends, feeling less loyal now that they saw I wasn't the villain, apparently confirmed some of the timeline of her overlap between me and Mark. The perfect, shiny facade of her day was completely cracked. I didn't ruin her wedding. She did that all by herself the moment she decided to be dishonest. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see it. I drove home that night not with a feeling of petty triumph, but with a quiet sense of closure. I had faced the monster under my bed, and it turned out to be just a shallow, scared person. I didn't need to scream or fight. My peace was my power. So, my advice to anyone who's been hurt like this: the best revenge isn't loud. It's living well. It's healing. It's showing up with grace and letting the truth speak for itself. Don't let someone else's poor character change yours. Be the calm, kind person who remembers their worth. Because in the end, people like Stacy? They have to live with themselves every day. And no amount of money or fancy weddings can fix a hollow heart. I'm finally moving on. Thanks for listening.